tonight on The GOAT Show.
And textbooks and stuff that they want to push, right?
No, they just want a monopoly on illegal activity.
Who's to say libertarians are pacifists? All right, all y'all need to shut up.
I wish them a very dime mad. Very dime mad.
Sounds like you got a future world champion on your hands.
I'm putting my child straight in the mines.
Welcome to The GOAT Show, the show where we celebrate and debate all things great. I am joined by my co-hosts, Fresh and Deezy. Gentlemen, good to see you. My name is ZiLLY, a.k.a. Ravine. Gentlemen, I have a quick question for y'all. Are y'all feeling free today? Do you feel like you got your maximum level of freeness going on today?
No, I'm in Canada, so no. But I hope you guys are feeling free.
What about you, Deezy? Feeling all right?
I'm feeling good, man. Got a flat tire this morning, so the government is trying to take me out in any way possible.
For anybody watching, you know, you might notice maybe it's a little different. I don't know. Maybe Fresh fixed it with the AI, but we had some difficulties today, man. Golly, to get the show together. But I'm glad that we're all here, that we're all able to talk about something really important today. Talking about freedom. We're talking about some people that are not free, unfortunately, but hopefully soon to be free. That it would be ROSS ULBRICht and Roger Ver. And we're going to talk about that with our special guest today. But before we get to her, Fresh, what do the people have to do? What do the goats out there have to do before we get started today?
You gotta like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell, send it to your mom, your aunt, your dad, your uncle.
Send it to someone in prison.
What?
If you know anybody, they may want to watch this, or send it to one. Actually, here's who you should send it to: is anybody who cares about liberty, anybody who maybe MAGA or libertarian, because the issues we're going to talk about today really are fundamental to American freedom, and we're going to talk about them with someone that I've known for a while now, from our days in LA being anti-COVID warriors. I don't know if we can say that on YouTube, but whatever. I said it. Without further ado, Angela McArdle, the chair of the Libertarian National Party. She has joined us today, and we're going to be talking about so much of what she's been involved with lately, and she really is a goat, for real. Like, especially when it comes to Libertarian Party and all that, she's a goat. So, Angela, how you doing today? How you feeling? I know you had a really busy day. Hopefully you're feeling all right now.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm like perpetually feeling, crushed by the overwhelming weight of my self-imposed, responsibilities and burdens, but otherwise pretty good.
Well, we, like I said before, we've known each other for a little while now. We were, I had a whole crew in LA of friends that are like really cherished friends now that Joshua Clements, who did all of our art for our other GOAT project, we had him on the show, interviewed him, a whole group of people. And it's because of you, because you were the chair of the LA Libertarian Party. And during COVID, we had this like 2 or 3 week stretch where they decided to open things up. And I had been following you because of Dave Smith and a bunch of other people. And you posted on Twitter that we were going to have a little LA meetup. And so I went to that, and I met you, and I met all these other amazing people that are in the LA scene. And then lo and behold, you end up becoming the chair of the entire party. So I do want to get into all that, but with every guest that we have on this show, we have a question that we always ask them. And that question is, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Oh, geez. Man, that's really tough. I feel like I'd have to take it needs like a 15-minute Jordan Peterson unraveling bunny trail. Like, what do I really want to accomplish? I want to accomplish as many things as possible. Let me backwards engineer this. I want to accomplish as many things as possible. So maybe like a Hermione Granger time turner thing where she can jump back in time and be in 2 places at once to do more stuff. I think that would be me.
My thing is freezing time, so I could just work for 8 hours and then unfreeze it, something like that.
For sure.
From superpowers to superhero origin stories. maybe you can tell us just quickly, where are you from originally? I don't know. Are you from California originally, or?
I'm from Texas originally. So Texas, California, Texas.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're back home because now you're in Austin, is my understanding.
Yeah, I lived all over the place in Texas growing up. My dad, worked in ministries. He was a pastor for various small churches, and so we just bounced around a lot all over the South, but in particular in Texas.
And how did you get introduced to all the libertarian stuff? Because I mean, feel free to say I'm a misogynist, all right? But let's just say for many years in the Libertarian Party, women were not necessarily the ones joining, doing the things, and now, I mean, it's incredible, like especially from your efforts. But I'm just kind of curious, how did you kind of learn about liberty, and what was sort of your libertarian journey?
What's that? Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto has this. It's not from Grand Theft Auto. I mean, my origin story. But they have these like little fake radio shows. And one there's like this like liberal female talk show host, and she says women hating women is the worst form of misogyny. So and it was really hilarious. I'm not a woman hater, but I'm a firstborn, and I think that my dad probably really wanted a son, and that's okay. And most firstborn children, I think, are raised in a more masculine way, and he ended up having 2 kids. I'm the only girl. There's a lot to unpack with all that. And I think I was just brought up, with more masculine interests and just surrounded by dudes. And so there's a little bit of a nature versus nurture thing. What am I interested in? Economics, UFC, power tools, just things that dudes are into. Also I have ovaries and I'm a woman who had a child. So it's not, I'm not defying my gender roles, in any extreme way. But libertarianism, I think, kind of falls into that. Do you know what I mean? Like, what else do I like? Like owning people on the internet, like that sort of like annoying bro culture. That is my jam. And so it just sort of, I'm lucky it worked out that way for me, I guess.
I mean, that's the other thing is that you're a mother now, and so I'm just kind of curious, how's that going? Like, how does that?
Last night, my toddler is almost 2. He'll be 2 in like a couple of weeks, and he did the craziest thing just out of nowhere. He will imitate anything you do, so you have to be really careful what you do in front of him. And he's clearly been play fighting with his dad, and he just went like this, and then he went like this, and went put him up. And so we had a good fight, like this, like he looked like the little Lucky Charms mascot, this little goofy Irish bare knuckle boxing thing. And then he pulled my shirt down and pointed at his dad and went "Baba" and tried to make my husband nurse. So that's that's what I've been up to. It's really hilarious. He's very sweet in these shares.
Who's to say libertarians are pacifists? All right, all y'all need to shut up. We'll fight. And we're not. We'll fight when we gotta. That's when we feel threatened.
Sounds like you got a future world champion on your hands, is what it sounds like.
He's fantastic. Yeah, he's very assertive. He's very sweet, but he also thinks he's a dinosaur. So we're respecting his gender. And instead of saying hi when he greets people now, he roars. He goes rah, and that's his new greeting, which some people find disturbing, but I think it's really charming.
Dang it, man. I guess I gotta get married now and have kids. It's
really cool. Like having a kid is not, especially now, like in the city of Austin, you can take your kid to all the cool places. So there's a lot of coffee shops that have playgrounds outside. There's a bunch of breweries, so you can go get a beer with a bunch of other of your friends. And then there's a playground outside. So you're not like trapped in Chuck E. Cheese, hating your life. Like that, like whole minivan midlife terror implosion thing, it doesn't really like exist where I live. So that's a cool thing about the city of Austin.
Austin's probably it's the last city, I think. I've been there once when I first drove out to LA way back in 2010, but it's one of the cities I think I want to spend a little time in the future. Great.
Yeah, I recommend it. I recommend if you're coming from LA, which I was dragged a little bit kicking and screaming from LA, but when we found out I was pregnant, he was like, "All right, all the vaccine stuff you've been doing, pack it up. Good job,
Yeah.
and we're not taking any risks." So, the compromise was I was like, I'm not moving to the middle of nowhere. I like my concrete and my homeless people and my garbage. Thank you very much. Usually there's really good food that accompanies that and things to do in the evening. And so we compromised with a blue city and a red state. But it's becoming a little less blue, quite honestly. The people are becoming, I think there was red flight here,
Yeah, I mean, from all the results of the last election that we just had, looks like the whole country is definitely trending more red.
A red pilling of sorts.
Yeah, for sure. Well, with that said, so like we said before, for anybody who doesn't know is watching, she is the chair of the Libertarian Party, the National Libertarian Party. She's the person, all right? And Angela, I mean, you got in some trouble. You got in some trouble recently.
A few times.
You held...
A few times.
A few times. I mean, not with us. I totally 100% believe in the strategy and the things that you did, and I think it's producing incredible results. We'll see soon. But when you held the Libertarian Party National Convention, you invited some insurgents. Okay, you invited the new Minister of Health, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
That's right.
And you invited the ultimate Hitler fascist person, Donald J. Trump, now the 47th president. You invited both of them to the convention, and there was a faction of the Libertarian Party that despised it, even booed them, and there was another faction, which I think we're a part of, and what I think was smart, which believed that, hey, let's have them talk, let's have them, let's get our voice out to what our interests are. So maybe can you kind of go into that, like the thinking behind that and the strategy and kind of the results that have been yielded from that?
Yeah. So I also invited Vivek Ramaswamy and Thomas Massey, and they showed up. Now, for the record, I invited Jill Stein and Cornel West too to balance it out a little bit, but they were busy, genuinely busy, with other campaign events of their own. It was going to be a really tough election year for the Libertarian Party, regardless of who we nominated. So I said, we've got to bring the political excitement to us. We've got to sort of transform the political landscape. And I got to tell you, it was, up until that point, it was the political event of the year. Like, it was crazy. People flew in from all across the country to just experience it. And never, we made history. Never in the history of the Libertarian Party have we ever had the GOP presumptive, nominee, presumptive winner come and speak at our convention, or his, potential. At that point, Vivek was still a contender for vice president. So, we got him to do a debate with one of our vice presidential candidates. We got Kennedy to address the convention. Thomas Massey he was doing what I called a roaming meet and greet. He was just talking with people and signing autographs. We had all kinds of debates set up. The candidates were like, you can't do that. And I was like, well, here's what we'll do. He's not going to do a debate with you guys. So we'll build a debate around him. We'll let somebody make an announcement, do whatever, and then we'll, like one of our candidates, prior to him speaking, you can get up and speak. And then you can immediately do a press conference with the top 3 candidates afterwards. You won't be on the same stage at the same time, but you will be on the same stage, right after.
Right.
And that was the closest they've ever gotten to a debate with a major party candidate of that caliber. So
yeah, I mean, the debate with Vivek and Dave and Clint was really good, and I think it was fair in the sense that Clint said some things about the Republican Party that were pretty honest, that a lot of libertarians feel. I think he got that voice in there, and then Vivek also presented his case, and I thought it was great. I thought it made a lot of sense. I guess my question for you is, I am kind of curious how it came together, but that may be a long story. I don't know, but
I mean, kind of. I had someone else chairing the convention committee, and he quit a month before. And there was a bunch of drama over that. But the reality is, it's a really difficult job, and it's pretty typical for someone to quit in the lead up. Like people are just like, you know what? This is killing me. I've been doing these meetings once a week, twice a week. This is exhausted and frustrating, and you get a lot of hate. You get a lot of hate. And so, you know, it kind of fell in my lap like 6 weeks before or something. But
Wow,
I
really?
already had, yeah, it was nuts how much stuff I was doing. But I already had Trump confirmed from like 6 months prior because I met with him at Mar-a-Lago and talked about it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. So then I was just at the last minute, I just added a ton of stuff. It was like, let's throw in Vivek. Let's call Vivek. Vivek, you know, like, can you,
Right.
you know, and he was like, yes, you know, I'm in. And Kennedy, he's like, I got to be there. You know, we got to get on the same stage as Trump. I was like, I don't know. You know, and Trump's people were like, yeah, no. So I was like juggling all of this. Everybody wanted to be on our stage. Afro Man was like, hey, can I be a part? And I was like, yes, come down. I was like, he's like, can you introduce me to Trump? And I was like, I think so.
That's awesome.
Tim Pool was like, can I get an interview with Trump? And I was like, I think so. So I was like wheeling and dealing, and yeah, it was
That's
really
great.
cool.
As far as I can tell, you pulled it off. It looked great, and it was fascinating. I'll say, in my opinion. Well, one thing from that, which is sort of what we're really going to focus on today, because this is something you brought to our attention, and it really is a worthy cause, is as part of, I guess, as part of, I don't want to misconstrue what it is, but you have a sort of a relationship now with Trump in terms of like politically.
Yes.
And my understanding is that when he asked you, what do libertarians care about? What are some things that he can do to hopefully win our vote, which I think he won a lot of our vote. One of those things I think was, which, you know, we'll see, but like getting rid of the Department of Education, was that like one of them?
Yep.
I hope that happens.
I think that they're going to come super, super close to literally abolishing it. The way that the Senate is behaving right now makes me skeptical of whether or not they'll actually be able to pass legislation to literally get rid of the agency. But can they shrink it down to like 5 employees? I think they can.
Yeah.
Like, I would like it to just be some interns in a closet, you know, so like giving an annual report, like type away to your heart's content, you know, put some statistics in a paper and we'll pay you $14 an hour, something like that. You know, I think we can get pretty close to that.
I had that debate with a friend who, you know, he heard this idea and he just recoiled. You know, he was like, oh, how can you not have a Department of Education for the country?
Well, we didn't for a long time.
Like what, 1980 was when it first came about?
I believe it was Jimmy Carter. It was his like parting shot at our, you know, at our brains. We don't need this. This is like asking, like, how can you survive without a national propaganda wing for children and a slush fund for taxpayer money?
Well, what does cutting them off cut off? Like, what would we lose?
Some federal funding for bureaucrats who sit around
and textbooks and stuff that they want to push, right?
That are written by special interest groups who have these gross relationships with people in office. And they're just like, imagine picking up a textbook, any textbook from a school, and be like, oh yeah, man, this stuff's hot. I'm going to go home and it's absolute trash. Like, nobody thinks that, you know? You know, you're not like, oh, I can't wait for the next, like, what is it? Houghton Miffler, whatever. Like, oh, like it's Twilight or something. Finally, George R. Martin's, you know, Literature 103. No, it's hot garbage.
I feel like the federal standards just give states more leeway to just do the minimum, right? Like, oh, here's the standard set. This is all you have to do.
No Child Left Behind. So I was like, what? Define behind? Because like we're scraping the bottom of the barrel on all the international testing. And then, you know, it's like, how do you sort through all of this stuff? International testing. So, standardized testing. That's a bunch of trash. Yeah, but, you know, when everybody from around the world takes the same test that's not particularly complicated, and we're like we're being beat by Vietnam. A third world country, Ireland, like, you know, and no offense to my people, but like, Ireland, like, it's kind of like a European shithole country, and like they're smarter than us. So, we need to get rid of that department. Goodbye.
Well, I would say, yeah. I mean, everything I've learned. I mean, we're here at the Goat Show. We're learning AI, we're learning editing, all that stuff. We didn't go. There's no school. It's just YouTube videos.
Yep.
And messing around with stuff. That's about it.
It's trial and error. Most of all, trial and error.
So other than basic things, that you can be taught in any school at the state level, or not, or even just, I don't know, with online and everything now.
But like, listen, 1 + 1 will always be 2. Like you can always teach 1 + 1 = 2.
Racism.
What is that? Is that racist? Shit.
Racism. Racism.
Shit.
I'm putting my child straight in the mines. Just straight into the mines.
Bring back child labor, people. All right, make some money. All right, have 20 kids. They're your insurance policy. So
straight into the children yearn for the mines. We're probably going to do some type of something between Ron Paul homeschool curriculum and unschooling, but he's pretty smart. He knows how to fight. He knows what dinosaurs are. He's got, he's building a vocabulary. He's pretty good. Very good at building. So I don't think we need the Department of Education.
I agree. Something else that, this is leading into what we're going to talk about today, very important, but ROSS ULBRICT. And you may be able to explain more of the backstory, but from what I've understood, I think Reason Magazine, surprisingly, Magazine did a really good, they did a good 6-minute little video. We'll put it in the show notes.
Nice.
Explaining kind of the history of what it is. But basically, if whoever's watching, if you're not into crypto or anything like that, ROSS ULBRICT created a marketplace on the dark web, a marketplace called Silk Road. And, they sold some things on Silk Road.
They, not Ross.
Oh, no, not Ross.
It was P2P, peer-to-peer, man.
And some of those things were things that feds don't like, drugs, things like that. And I don't know the degree to what was sold there, but the way that people were able to engage in commerce on this platform was using, at that time, Bitcoin, which was not worth, the 100K that we got worth today, fellas. How we do it?
Yeah, it definitely was not.
I think it was like 100,000 Bitcoin to buy a pizza or something, but
10,000.
10,000. Oh, damn. Okay.
Mind blowing.
So Ross had this site, and you tell me if it's accurate, Angela. The feds basically came in and somehow busted him for having this site, but he didn't engage, or they had a trumped up. Maybe you can explain. They had trumped up charges that he tried to.
Yeah. The case was totally crazy and corrupt. I mean, they went after him because what he was doing was a threat to the Federal Reserve and the U.S. monetary system, because he was one of the pioneers and innovators of having people engage in commerce without the United States dollar. And it was also being done in a way that was not easy to monitor and track. So they were really freaked out. And when he was busted, I believe he was in a public library when they busted him. It was really crazy. But the case evolved, and it was so corrupt that one of the FBI agents on it, he ended up serving time. The whole thing is nuts. They made up and fabricated all these murder for hire charges and tried to trump everything up and make it just really wild. And none of it was true. And it was all just dismissed and thrown out, and none of it made it into court. But it's when I say that, your eyebrows raised. It's oh, your interest is piqued. And that's exactly what it did. So it garnered a ton of negative media attention. It was very ugly. People in the Justice Department were ooh, that's the murder for hire guy. They did a disinformation campaign. And then by the time it got to trial, people really hated him. And they dismissed all of that crap because it was crap, but it didn't matter, And then they threw the book at him, and he got more than 2 life sentences, no eligibility for parole.
Okay, this is what it boggles my mind. What was the? I mean, because I remember that. I remember hearing oh, he hired someone. He did murder for hire, and then okay, he did murder for hire. Okay, I guess he's gonna whatever. But that was never proven. That was never shown to be the case. And then, how does he get this crazy sentence? Like, what do they prosecute him for? That's what I don't understand.
What did they prosecute him for? I'm trying to think about what the actual charges were. Trying to think of what it was.
Was it just like distribution? Was it like distribution of, drugs or something like that? I don't know, but
I got Grok pulled up, a Grok answer here if you want.
Yeah, let's do Grok.
It says he was charged with distributing narcotics, continuing criminal enterprise, conspiracy to distribute narcotics, conspiracy to commit money laundering, conspiracy to commit computer hacking, and conspiracy to traffic in false identity documents.
Oh, I did not remember the false identity ones. Okay, so there you go.
So basically, he was just being a gangster, being a G, getting us drugs.
You could probably do, and it probably does, and most likely does happen, and worse, probably child trafficking on Facebook Messenger.
I was just going to say, for context, Facebook has a lot of really nasty groups, and people engage in some really gross stuff on Facebook, and there's coded language. And I've reported some of those groups and been so freaked out about it where I'm like, I don't think I should even click in it, but I can click, to report it kind of thing. Mark Zuckerberg doesn't go to prison for child endangerment. And that's really, it was on the same level. He created a website and there were users who used it for, illicit purposes. But he did not engage in any of that. He wasn't involved in it in any way, shape, or form. And so they threw the book at him.
Well, it's also because Bitcoin was kind of looked at like it was this illegal thing back then.
Yep.
But if you were to create it now, knowing that Bitcoin isn't just being used for criminal activity and actually being adopted by governments around the world and stuff like that, I don't think he faces the same charges, and I don't think they throw the book at him.
They always say that. They've been saying that with cryptocurrency. Hopefully that ends soon. They've been saying that with the cryptocurrency, that bullshit forever. That, it's all cartel people and drug.
But do you think more than the American dollar?
Yeah.
You think that any of these things hold a candle to the American dollar as far as illegal activity?
Right. It's all so absurd. No, they just want a monopoly on illegal activity. That's really what they want.
I love that meme where they talk about, they don't say what the currency is, but they talk about all the things that the US dollar is, lose 99% of your value, use it for, print as much of it as you like. So, yeah, so it makes sense to me that the unfairness of it is simply,
it's so insane. It's so,
yeah.
And no eligibility for parole.
That is insane.
So
wow.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with the cyber bunker case. There's these guys. Okay, so these Dutch guys, are kind of similar. There's a whole thing called cyber bunker, right? But they did some stuff. They are free speech absolutists. These very hardcore European libertarian guys, and free speech absolutist is sometimes code for people who think that graphic images of children are not technically a crime. And they got busted for something kind of like Silk Road, and they have some very audacious opinions about things. And they were also involved in they were involved, I think, in some criminal enterprises. They didn't have this sort of sentence. They served a little bit of time and they got out. And they also, they were helping WikiLeaks as well. And they were involved in everything.
Right. Well, they're back.
Yeah, WikiLeaks or Cyberbunker?
Cyberbunker.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Totally. And I'm I don't understand. The punishment really did not fit. Even if you view it as an actual crime, I still don't think the punishment fit the crime. For us, it's just insane.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what you're saying. It's just even if you are even if you're a Fed, all right, you can't look at this and say, okay, that makes sense that no parole. What is it? 2 life sentences?
Yeah,
or something like that,
and some change.
Wow.
Just to follow up, the main defendant of Cyberbunker was only charged 5 years, 9 months in prison.
There you go. And Ross is on his 12th or 13th year.
That's unbelievable. And then his mother has been really the person who really has been spearheading for all these years, trying to get.
She's been wonderful. Yeah, it's just like she set such an incredible example, I think, of motherhood and, perseverance and love for your children. It's like really heavy, but I think it's also really beautiful and inspiring.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it looks like, Angela, you are going to play or have already played a key role in freeing Ross. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, it's crazy. I've never met Ross. I heard about it when it happened, his arrest, and was very interested in it. And was like, it kind of sounds like the government. Like it sounded ridiculous at the time, and just sort of followed and heard about it more through Tom Woods, actually, because he's friends with Lynn, Ross's mother. And, I just followed the story. I've met Lynn a few times in the past, and I thought, okay, so I'm going to, so flash backwards and then flash forward. I'm going to Mar-a-Lago a little less than a year ago, and I'm going to meet Donald Trump,
and
he's going to want our votes,
Sorry, real quick. How did that happen? Were you just like, or can you speak on like how did that even, is Mar-a-Lago like a club you can join or something like that? Or was it just you connected one person to another?
I guess, I don't know how you join, but I think technically, yes. So I got reached out to by someone who was not on the campaign, but was close to President Trump. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So
Okay.
Rick Grinnell called me. Are you guys familiar
nice.
with Rick?
Yeah, he was in the first term, I think he was
a deputy director of national intelligence. He and Kash Patel fired a ton of people. It was like 15% of the intelligence agency workforce, which is nice.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's an interesting guy. I would say that we are close. We are friends now. He used to work for Romney, so he's had an interesting political redemption story. I think he was just kind of like a typical like policy wonk political operative, and he did some really radical stuff for Trump, with Cash. And I think most of the swamp people hate him now. So he was cast out of the swamp. And he is the guy who introduced me to President Trump and really spearheaded that initiative to get the libertarian vote. And, he was like, well, he's President Trump's a deal maker. If he wants to speak at your convention, he wants to do this or that, or get your votes, like, you got to make a deal. And so I was like, we're going to free Ross Ulbricht. Like, what can we do that's like maximum impact for the movement? It'll change someone's life, save his life, and it's easy for the president and it'll make him feel good. And so, that was my ask. And he was like, I love freeing people. Yeah, I'll free him, free Ross. I'll just say free Ross and drop the mic.
Yeah, I mean that's what he did in his first term. I mean, to Trump's credit, with so many. So yeah.
Yeah, and I spoke with some people that he freed too, like Rod Blagojevich and a couple of other people, and they're super grateful. I got to tell you, like, nothing garners loyalty like breaking a man out of prison.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, so that's one of the things that you said at the convention, that you would free Ross.
Yeah, I told him if you go on stage and you say that you're going to free Ross Ulbricht, the crowd is going to go insane. And they did, so that was nice.
That's great. Well, hopefully soon, once he, if we don't get into a third world war.
Yeah, it's a concern, man. That's a concern. I think that Vladimir Putin is going to be more patient. He's inclined to be patient because he knows the Trump administration is coming. But I mean, who knows what this like suicidal Biden regime is going to do in the lead up? I think they're doing it to spite Donald Trump and the American people. They're like, oh, you think you want that? Well, we'll just blow you up. Take this, stupid economic freedom people. How about nuclear winter instead?
I don't know. Maybe if we can get through this period and Trump gets in, maybe those people can be revealed.
I hope so.
So they could, someone could, I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything.
Well, wasn't Alex Jones saying that Trump and Elon are in the back channels brokering a secret peace deal?
I'm sure they are. Yeah, I'm sure they are. I mean, like, I don't think that the Biden administration has any quasi diplomatic communications going on right now, which is crazy because even in the Cold War, that was a thing. Like that was always a thing that existed, and I just don't think it exists now. But I think that Mar-a-Lago and other people who are good, and trying to be good, I think that they do, and so that's optimistic. Like if there's like, hey, be patient if that's going on. I'd be patient if I was him and I knew that there was going to be a peace deal coming.
Well, I guess we'll see. I hope that's the case. But I, from Ross, there's someone else that, and this is something that, you brought to our attention, and I looked into it, and again, another gross, I mean, this one's insane. All right, so we're talking about, for anybody who doesn't know, we're talking about Roger Ver. He was an American citizen many years ago. He is one of the first people to invest, I think, in Bitcoin as an investor. He has been a Bitcoin. I mean, they call him Bitcoin Jesus. They literally call him Bitcoin Jesus. That's who Roger Ver is. And for years and years and years, he's been a proponent of Bitcoin. He has appeared in innumerable conferences and videos and all kinds of stuff talking about what Bitcoin's all about. He's been proven right, very much so. And I think so. My understanding is that, and I don't know how long ago this was, but essentially he gave up his American citizenship around about the time that he started investing or purchasing Bitcoin or something to that effect.
2014 is when he expatriated. So he ran for office as a libertarian in California prior to that. It was like the 2000s.
Okay.
He got in trouble for some, like basically like selling fireworks without a license, which is something that a ton of people do. It wasn't like some mad, like James Bond blow up a stack of dynamite, but just some really like normal, basic, like I operating without like the correct license thing. People still do it, by the way. Like it's not strange. So he got a little bit in trouble with the law over that. And he was like, screw this. This is gross, uneven application of the justice system. They came down on me because I'm like very outspoken politically. I'm just going to get out of here. So he left the US. He was like done with that. And he also had a ton of Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah. When he was buying Bitcoin, I was telling my friend, why would I ever want to own that video game money when I could have bought it for $30? So, Roger Ver is obviously much smarter than I. I'll put it out there. But my understanding of what happened recently is that, and I don't even understand how this can even occur. Essentially, the government's saying you had a lot of Bitcoin back in 2014 when you were an American citizen, we think.
Yes.
And now you owe us because Bitcoin's, about to hit that 100K mark. But he wasn't even a citizen. Or no. I think he wasn't even a citizen when he bought the Bitcoin.
I think, okay, so the way that it works out is that he did have Bitcoin when he expatriated. And when you leave the country, you have to sell everything. Okay, sell your assets. So he did. And he wasn't just, no offense to the people who do this, but he wasn't just like, screw the government, I'm out of here, screw your rules. He hired a bunch of attorneys and was like, I need to make sure that I do this properly. But it was so early in Bitcoin that there was no like clear-cut way to do it. And one of the biggest, companies that handled large mass sales of Bitcoin just like tanked right around the same time. And they were like, sell it all in the same day, do it under these particular circumstances. And he's like, well, I can't. Like, there's literally no way to do that because the one organization that could have handled this volume of transactions is like inoperative right now. And so it was like, well, how much can we pay you? Is this enough? And it's just like radio silence. So they don't tell him how to take care of it. They don't tell him the amount that he owes. It's like, just tell me what I owe you. And they don't. It's so, I mean, it's obviously spiteful and malicious, but I think it's also archaic. And it just shows like what a dead bureaucratic, like, it's just like stupid low IQ behavior on behalf of the government. So, right before the statute of limitations and all this stuff runs out in April of this year, he got arrested, and it sucks. He spent some time in jail in Spain. The way this whole thing went down too is they kicked in his attorney's door, the feds, and interrogated his attorney at gunpoint.
Wait. This is in the United States. He had an attorney.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so the reason that this is like a really freaky case and why people should care about it is, like obviously there's the Bitcoin angle. It's similar to Ross. They don't like the thing that you're doing. They don't like you speaking out. They don't like that you're powerful and self-funded. But beyond that, the chilling precedent here is that your attorney-client privilege doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't exist. If the feds kick in your door and put a gun to your attorney's head, obviously he's going to say whatever he needs to say to not be shot in the freaking head. And so attorney-client privilege doesn't exist if this is allowed to go forward. And it's a huge game changer for anybody and everybody who assumes that they can rely on legal counsel. Like, you can't.
Right. And there's plenty of people that, since there's so many people that own cryptocurrency and so, with all these altcoins and things like that, there's plenty of people who are in the same position probably as Roger. And if they can do it to him, then they're going to be able to do it to anybody. At any time.
But it's not just crypto. Like, we're talking about, I commit any crime, and as I'm talking to my lawyer, the feds are like, listen, we don't want to waste no more time on this investigation. Kick his fucking lawyer's door in and find out what the lawyer knows.
Anything. Family law dispute, financial, like anything at all, innocuous, like, and who knows what people say when they have a gun to their head. So then it's like your attorney's making stuff up because he's afraid he's going to get shot in the head. And like, it's crazy. It really does remind me of, like, I feel like it's on the same level of the insane punitive measures that were taken against Alex Jones. And Julian Assange. They're really forging new ground with their atrocious behavior and the erosion of our civil liberties.
Right. And we did an episode a little while ago on Alex Jones, and it's absurd. It's I don't know, the lawfare is starting to get loosey goosey here, and hopefully under Trump they'll clean that up. I hope that happens.
I hope so. I'm like bummed out that Matt Gaetz is not going to be AG, and I hope that they can slot him in somewhere because that man is an absolute savage. I was not surprised that the ethics committee wanted to go after him, since he's been so good at going after the ethics committee for their insider trainings. Like, he basically has like a chart of it. He's like, this is when they sold their things. This is when they made money. This was when they knew this information. Oh, look at it go up and down. So, but hopefully we can still get rid of a lot of these agencies. We should fire all of the IRS agents that Biden hired. I think they should.
Oh, man.
Uber is there to greet you, whatever it is, DoorDash, babysitting, dog walking, mowing lawns. It's good to get some sunlight. Yeah.
What is it, like 80,000 agents or something like that? It's crazy.
Yeah.
So for in the case of Roger, I know that there's a Free Roger movement brewing now, and we're going to be doing a space. I think this comes out on a Tuesday, and that night we're going to be doing a space with you and a bunch of other people, just talking about this and bringing light to it. But in the case of Roger, so I think it's freeroger.com.
freerogernow.org.
freerogernow.org. We'll put that in the show notes. And so what's sort of the goal of that? Or what can we do?
Yeah. Okay. So I need a lot of signatures on this petition. So when I gave everything to Trump's campaign for Ross, he had thousands of signatures. And also he's been in prison for over 10 years. So he's had the time to collect them. But we really, like, Roger's got, like, I don't know what, 2,500, 3,000 signatures. I haven't looked since we did a big boost for him on Tuesday. Pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. So I need to deliver this with a ton of signatures. I need to get the signatures of organizations. If there are cryptocurrency organizations, if there are Bitcoin organizations, like, we need your signatures. Reach out to me if you have an org that wants to sign on. One of the things, and I don't talk about this on every show, but I think you guys will be sympathetic and understand, is there's a big split in the Bitcoin community, and Roger is viewed as polarizing because he backed Bitcoin Cash. We have got to stick together on this. Bitcoin maxis, I understand and respect your opinion about Bitcoin Cash. This man is facing life in prison. We have to set those differences aside, because if the feds come for him, they can come for all the rest of us. So we got to band together. We got to wrap our arms around this man and do everything we can to set him free.
There's enough network demand for both chains, you guys. We'll be all right.
We got to just love each other and fight the IRS together, and then we can fight about white papers and who's a real libertarian and all that stuff, like later, but we got to join forces on this one.
Listen, as ambassador of the XRP community, XRP people, you can get in on this too. And Fresh is ambassador of the Solana community. Deezy's ambassador. What are you ambassador of, Deezy? I don't,
Deezy coin.
Deezy coin. All right. Of the meme coin community, Deezy is your ambassador. Listen, like, this affects everybody, people. All right. It doesn't matter what chain you're on. Doesn't matter what coin you're pushing.
Like, set aside your mean tweets. No one can. This is not the time for mean tweets. Like, you do those later, but we got to get this guy free.
We'll get him free, and then you can go after him. How about that? But in the meantime,
yeah, then you can be mad about Bitcoin Cash, but not today.
All right. Well, we'll put that in the show notes, and like I said, we have a space. It's on I think it's Tuesday at 26th at 8 p.m. We'll put that in the notes as well. And even if you're watching this later, it's going to be recorded, so you can listen. What do you feel? I kind of want to zoom out a little bit. With Trump, we're seeing a lot of resistance. We're seeing a lot, already, within the Senate. It seems like there's, yeah. I mean, how do you feel about the whole thing? How do you feel about, his second term? What are you seeing from the inside? Is it going to, like, as soon as he starts, it's going to be off to the races?
All right, we're going to get the domestic policy we want. There's going to be some hangups in the Senate, not as bad as the first term. We're going to get domestic policy. We're not going to get most of foreign policy that we want. And, from a libertarian perspective, I know we all want to melt down and scream at the sun, and we're very angry about what the Israeli government is doing in Palestine. And it doesn't discount that or mean that you're wrong, but we have to take an incremental approach if we want to take over the entire federal government. And so be grateful and appreciative for the wins that you get, and then keep demanding and insisting and pushing politely at times for more. And that's how we'll get there, with a long-term approach, but the Senate, like we saw over the Rick Scott thing, like, is Rick Scott the one true libertarian? Well, certainly not. He was more liberty inclined than the other guys. And instead we got this, like, milquetoast, neoconish guy from South Dakota, which is a bummer. But we're going to have to play the game a little bit, because right now the guys that are neocons or lean neocon or bow to their pressure outnumber us in the GOP by like 5, like 20, 29 to 24.
How is that? Republicans, please, like Lindsey Graham, come on.
They're afraid of the donor class. So most of them are afraid of the donor class and their donors. And that was something that was so great about Matt Gaetz, is he had no AIPAC ties, which is wild. Like they do exist. He's like a little unicorn out there running around. I don't know if he got honey potted or, I don't think that Matt Gaetz is a bad guy, and certainly I have not seen it myself. But to my knowledge and the people I know, they say he's a good dude. But we gotta try to find some more Matt Gaetzes for the Senate. I will be in the midterms identifying one of these crappy senators, and I will be. It's going to be carrot or stick. There's going to be an opportunity. Do you want to shape up? And if not, I am going to unleash hurt on you like you cannot imagine. If you're only voting with the GOP and for liberty stuff like 60% of the time, some of them might be even worse than that, like 54. You're going to feel so much pain. And GOP candidates who don't want to put out salacious, insane ads, like, you don't have to, because here I am. Oh man, you guys, like, I was so bummed when Joe Biden was removed, was nixed, because I was ready to unleash, like, right after the convention, a YouTube ad for a fake Ashley Biden diary VR experience. I was that's the level of pain that I'm going to be inflicting on these senators. You know, like, you want to work with me? Great. And I'm calling too. I'm making calls and I'm making friends. But you don't want to work with me? You want to work against America first? Oh, you're going to get the VR commercial, my friend. Like, I'll find what you did and I will make it into a video, and it'll be good stuff.
That's badass. Well, I mean, I'll say a big part of, what I like about the second term of Trump is sort of the brain trust, which I include you in. The brain trust seems to be, I mean, between Vivek, Elon, RFK, all these different people, I'm really interested to see kind of, how that works. Do you have what are your thoughts on DOGE, the whole DOGE thing?
I have a few thoughts. So my first thought is that it's tricky to get all of this actually enacted. And this is something I talked about with people close to Trump, and Rick a while ago. Okay, so the vice president has very little authority to do anything. That's kind of like in a similar vein. If you just spin something up and you say they're going to do X, Y, and Z, they don't have the authority to force it through. So it's sort of like a white paper. And these have been done before. They've been written before. And then cabinet secretaries don't have to follow them. So in order for it to actually be effective, Donald Trump has got to give like read the DOGE white paper, which is going to be probably huge. And then you have to actually enforce it. You have to say, your cabinet secretary, do this or you're fired. And that's going to be the real litmus test. And that's why you also need cabinet secretaries who are loyal to you, because if they're not, they're going to hide the ball. They're going to make excuses and all of that kind of crap. We'll see. Linda McMahon, who's in charge of the Department of Education, which is totally like, I'm here.
Badass.
I'm here for this timeline.
Yeah, we're literally living in a movie. Sometimes I'm like, what is even going on right now?
I was talking with someone about the campaign and like staffing like a while ago, and they were like, and Linda McMahon, da, 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 da. And I was like, it just like, I was like, oh, I forgot about that. I forgot that's a thing, Yeah, she's close to him and has been loyal. So I think, and she's got nerves of steel. So I could see her really carrying through. I know that Kennedy, like, he's going to do exactly what he says he's going to do.
Right.
But who knows? Like, Rubio.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, guys. That was one. Like,
I know.
That was a stinker. That was a stinker. But like, I was like, I can't get you 100% libertarian administration. We do what we can.
Yeah. Yeah.
PU.
I like Trump, but I'm just like, I don't know about that one. Yeah.
I think that was just like Senate, like, extortion, like, not literal, like, crime extortion, but they're just terrorizing him, stranglehold.
I mean, that's the thing though, with it's such a massive bureaucracy, and I guess it's always been that way in American history. There's so many different people with so many different interests. Like, how do you, you're going to have to navigate all that. And it's not, I mean, hopefully soon there's a new generation of liberty-minded people, but, there's still a lot of boomers, I guess.
There are, it's like, I don't know if you guys follow any of the longevity community stuff. I'm so excited about the progress that we make for humanity. And then I think about Nancy Pelosi and other people. I'm like, are they watching these YouTube videos too? Turn it off. Like, I just want you to die. Don't take the supplements. Don't take the supplements.
Yeah. I mean, well, I was just seeing, I saw on X, there was a roundtable between, what's it called? Oh man, Morning Joe.
Yeah.
They had like a roundtable, and they have they think that they need to make better 20 and 30 second shorter clips, and they don't understand there's this whole thing called podcasting. Like,
Oh gosh.
where a show can be 3 hours and people will watch it if you're interesting enough and you have things to say, you know? It's like,
How do you
I don't
say
know.
her name? Mika Brzezinski? Is that right?
Brzezinski, is that his name?
Isn't she on Morning Joe?
Yeah.
She's the one that Donald Trump in his first term was like, she had blood running down her face. Like that. Isn't she that one? Talked about her bad. She showed up after a facelift. She had blood running down her face. These people are so pathetic. And then they just like kiss the ring. Yes, master. They're like Renfield with Dracula. Like, just like, go in your corner and eat bugs and don't come around here. Like, gross.
I mean, I have to ask Angela, white pilled, black pilled?
Oh, 100% white pilled. White pilled.
White
We
pilled?
have
All right.
a meme coin named Department of Government Efficiency that is dedicated to cutting $2 trillion in the federal budget. Elon Musk is thoroughly versed on anarcho-capitalism. I know a bunch of ANCAPs who work in senior positions directly under him,
Oh, wow.
in Tesla and other fields. In
Okay,
fact,
that's great.
an anarchist is the one that got him into rockets. Jim Cantrell, who's a friend of mine. I mean, I could pick up the phone and call Bobby Kennedy. He called me yesterday. He's a wonderfully sweet man. So everybody who has Kennedy derangement syndrome, like maybe you're the ones with brainworms, my friend.
He's eating animals. He's getting beavers out of the thing.
He's a
Like, that's all I see all
socialist.
day.
Yeah, well, shut up. You know, Kennedy is not going to take away your old. Remember, Donald Trump said in Madison Square Gardens, he'll keep him away from the liquid gold. So
Listen, stay away from my Fruit Loops.
my
all
liquid
right?
gold. Your Fruit Loops will probably still exist. You know, maybe they'll have a douchey warning label on them, but give and take. You know, like Tulsi Gabbard in charge of national intelligence. So if you're worried about who the CIA director was, well, guess what? He has to answer to Tulsi, who has an axe to grind since these scumbags put her on some stupid fly list.
Right.
I will say that even me as a Republican, that was my favorite pick so far.
So good. It was like
I think Tulsi
revenge.
is
Yeah.
such a great person in politics because she's one of the more real politicians I've seen even touch
She's
a microphone.
She's a sweet, authentic person. It's crazy to me because like I just have direct contact with a lot of these people. Like I could reach out to Vivek, I could reach out to Tulsi, I call Bobby on his phone. I can call, you know, like Trump's like senior advisors.
See, Angela, no, they get to talk to you.
Yeah, they get to.
All right, they get to talk to you, in my opinion, because I've known you.
But when has this ever happened in the
like,
history of the Libertarian Party? It never has. So, you know, to all of my haters who don't like my strategy, it's just that you're wrong. You're just wrong. Like this is the way. This is the way. Play kingmaker. You know, and then you actually are effective and you affect policy. And then if there's a crisis that happens or someone needs to get out of federal prison, we can make it happen.
Right. Listen, I agree with you. And to all the haters, I don't even know who they are. I didn't even pay attention.
I wish them a very die mad. A very die mad.
Yeah. Well, you got reelected, so that's fantastic. Hopefully that's, that continues for a long time. Well, listen, okay. So just for everybody out there, if you haven't done it already, we're going to put all the links for Free Roger in the show notes. And we'll put a bunch of other links so if you can learn about the Libertarian Party, you can learn more about Angela as well. And yeah, we're, go there, sign the petition. I think I already signed it. Yeah, I did yesterday. So, and again, it's a bigger deal. It's not just about one person. It's about an entire, idea of, you're being protected in your freedom, being protected in your property, being able to talk to an attorney and have attorney-client privilege, so many things. So if you haven't checked that out, go ahead and check that out. Angela, thank you for being on the show. I have, I don't know, Deezy and Fresh, do you have any other questions for Angela that you'd like to ask her before we conclude today's episode?
Just being someone not in politics, what do you think would be the biggest surprise to somebody if they stepped into that world from just being a citizen?
I think the biggest surprise would be how many low information decisions are made. We tend to think of the political class, especially judges, like people in the Supreme Court, as though they have special knowledge and they're incredibly wise and they have a whole lot of insider info. And it's not the case. There are a lot of super uninformed decisions where somebody just kind of decides based on what the last person in the room said to them. That is national politics. You don't have to have a really high IQ. There are some shockingly dumb people. None of the people I've named, and I won't name them, but like people on my hit list who I'm just like, I can't believe how dumb this person is. Holy crap. Yeah, and that's partly how things got to where they are. It's a combination of maliciousness and gross incompetence.
Not surprised.
Is there anybody that you thought would be stupid and isn't?
Ooh. Yeah. I don't think I should say that. But yeah, there have been a couple where I was pleasantly surprised. You know what else I've been pleasantly surprised by? How nice some of these people are. How genuinely nice and sincere. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's such a nice person. Or they remember my baby's name. Like I was at some event and Tulsi Gabbard walked by and was like, "Hi, Arthur," to my toddler, and I was like, "Oh, that was really nice." Dennis Kucinich, same, "Hi, Arthur." So some of them are just like really sweet and sincere. Others are complete dumb as rocks though, and it's shocking.
Dang. Is anybody like nefarious? Like you get a vibe from them, like these people really are psychos, like they really do want to do crazy shit?
Oh my gosh, I rooted feds out of my event. And I won't say their names because I don't want them to come after me again. But there was this federal operative who was trailing me. And yeah, and then there was a whole thing with blowing it open with one of the security details for one of the presidential candidates and figuring out that he had ties to some sketchy paramilitary contractor company. And he hadn't disclosed that to me, but all this other stuff and COINTELPRO tactics by this person. And then there was a different Fed, somebody who had been arrested at January 6th, but had been on social media the entire time. He was quote unquote incarcerated, and financial schemes. And he tried to blow up Rescue the Republic, this huge event we had. Crazy, crazy stuff. That has been shocking, and like digging up and getting like security profiles on these people and being like, that guy's confirmed. He's a Fed, stay away.
Wow. So there really is a deep state.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's very, very real. They didn't come after me with guns, thankfully yet. Please don't. But basic COINTELPRO tactics and financial malfeasance. Yeah. They try to wreck you financially first.
Just don't go for a swim in Obama's private lake.
No. I'll be staying away. I'll stay away.
Protect this woman. We got to protect her.
I am armed and I have a vest. So.
Oh, damn. Okay. Hell yeah.
There have been a few nights where I'm like just lying awake in bed, like, freaked out. But lately it's all good vibes.
Well, listen, I think we're going to toast you, Angela. It is the GOAT show. We toast the GOATs on this show. So cheers to you and all your effort. It's paying off, and hopefully it continues to pay off, and we continue to do great things as a country. So
thank you, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Free Roger Ver now. We're going to put that information in the show notes. Angela, I have a really important question, though.
Let's do it.
Really important question. In your philosophy of libertarianism, who is going to build the roads?
Elon Musk. They won't be roads. There'll be hyperloops. Maybe we'll get to teleport. There'll be rockets. There won't be roads, but there'll be something better.
Perfect. That's a great answer.
Trump's I think he just spoke his language. Like,
I hate
oh my
the
God,
roads.
I fucking hate roads.
I hate the roads. I just want to blow them up. I just want to I just want to peel them off the face of the earth. I hate the roads. That's my
personalized flight.
Yeah.
Ban the FAA.
Yes.
That's what I say.
The FAA is terrible. I think that is the main thing that red pilled Elon Musk, by the way, is the FAA.
Oh wow.
Yeah, when you got planes, bolts falling out and like wheels falling off and landing gears not working and windows ripping out.
But you can't get your very high functioning rockets into space without a bunch of tedious scheduling BS. And
Yeah.
it's all like about who controls what airspace, and you're like, I'm way more competent and skilled than any of you. And they're like, yeah, well, back of the line, sweetheart. Yeah, you'd hate the FAA.
Well, one thing I can say is thank you, Donald Trump, so that Elon doesn't go galt. You know, he can actually function in this society and build cool shit. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, I think with that, thank you, Angel, for being on, and we're looking forward to. We'd love to have you back in the future, and we look forward to everything that you're working on, and I think you're going to do great things. Fresh. As we conclude this show, what do the people out there got to do?
You gotta like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell, send it to your mom, your aunt, your uncle, your dad.
Free Roger Ver. Share that link. Let's get those signatures. Let's free this man. And, you know, go fuck yourself.